non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno.
Welcome to June, everybody. I can't believe we're in June, halfway through the year. That's insane. It's the 1st today, and I am really, really looking forward to the month of reading because this is the first month in I feel like in a long time where I've had really a lack of pressure over reading. So as you would have seen in my TBR video, I am not adhering to a TBR for June, and I am just going to be finishing off books that I'm in the middle of and revisiting the books I didn't get to on previous TBRs, and I'm so looking forward to it. So I actually woke up this morning and sat down to read this non-fiction BBC book whose name I can't remember. I'll have to show you it when I have it next, because I felt like I could. I felt like I could because I wasn't chasing my tail to finish off like an actual book on my TBR, and I really am enjoying that book. It's like a coffee table book. But yeah, so I'll be reading Victory's Greater Than Death on my lunch break at work today. Other than that, I'm actually going to Melbourne tomorrow, so I'll be getting on a flight tomorrow night. So I'm expecting that for the next few days I'm in Melbourne for about 4 days. I will be doing a lot of book shopping, but perhaps not a lot of reading, and then after that I have nothing really planned for the rest of the month, and so I'm hoping to just leisurely get some reading done, but let's see where the month takes us. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. I've spent today packing, so the suitcase is packed and ready to go. I'm only going for 4 days, I'm not going for a long time. It's been a long time since I got on a plane though. This is stressful. I'm tired and I'm stressed for no good reason. I just am. But more importantly, I have managed to do a miracle, and my suitcase is only 13 kilos, so I have 10 kilos worth of books that I can buy, and that's exactly what will be taking up that space. Nothing else. I'm not planning on buying anything else in Melbourne. I'm planning on going book shopping, and I have literally done the best I can to keep the suitcase as light as possible so that I can bring home as many books as possible. And Chris has also got a suitcase weighing only 12 kilos, and he very kindly and wisely has agreed that is also space for me to put the books in, of which I buy in Melbourne. So I can't wait. I think this will probably be the last I speak to you before I go, so enjoy the next few clips of my trip. I will vlog it and include it here for you. And I'm not really anticipating any reading other than on the plane to get done until I'm back. Enjoy. is back. We're back in Perth. What an amazing weekend Chris and I had away in Melbourne. It was fantastic. You saw the footage. You saw how many books I picked up. I came home. Oh, hello, automatic lighting. I came home with 13 books, technically 14. What happened, and I don't think I had footage of this, is I picked up The School for Good and Evil, which I thought was book 1, but didn't realise that all of the School for Good and Evil books, there are 6 of them in this fantasy series, have The School for Good and Evil in big writing and then the actual title in little font beneath it. I picked up book 4, so I did come home with that and only realised when I got home that I had book 4. So I was looking online to see if I can get book 1, 2 and 3 and finish the set, and I actually managed to find a wickedly cheap box set online which I've ordered, and so I'm going to try and trade in the copy of book 4 I've got so I don't have double ups. So technically, if we count those as collateral damage from the trip, I came home with 16 books? It's so exciting. I'm so pleased with myself. I'm not even gonna lie, that was so much fun. I'm so excited about the books that I got. There are some books I got that they're like older books. They're not old books, but they're older books that I just do not see in the bookstores in Perth that I would have to order online, and because I never see them in person, I never really make the effort to just order them. So things like The Captive Prince by C.S. Pacat, How to Mars is a new book, but I've not seen that in store. The Counselor, never seen that in store. The Midnight Dance, I think it's called. Books like that I just, have not seen in store, and was so excited when I saw them in some of the bookstores in Melbourne, so of course I had to pick them up. So yeah, I had a great time book-wise. I'm really looking forward to reading them now. I'm not planning on doing any more book buying for like another month when I have another little getaway coming up in which I'm definitely going to be doing some book shopping. So I'm hoping to maybe get to some of these. Who knows? I've still got all the other books that I just want to read at the moment. No TBR is great. In terms of what I have read though, I did only read on the flight there and the flight back basically, which were 3 and 4 hours. The first book I read, I finished, was The Limitless Sky, so I finally got that one off my currently reading. It was a 2-star read for me. This just didn't really gel for me. It's a dystopian story that I just didn't understand where the plot was going for most of it. We've got sort of an inside-outside situation going on, a bit like many other things, Maze Runner, I don't know, lots of things like that, where the people on the inside of a bubble essentially believe that the outside is unlivable, and then you have people on the outside, and it's okay, but obviously you know that the stories are going to meet up, and you just don't know who's trying to escape, what's going on. But yeah, I don't know, I just felt like the whole book felt like it could have been condensed into a few chapters to start off a bigger story. So this just, I don't know, I was annoyed that about the 70% mark, I still didn't really understand where things were heading. And so yeah, it was 2-star for me. I was just glad for it to be done. The other book I'm currently still reading is Neom. This one is actually not coming out until September or October. And this one I'm really disliking so far. It's going to be a 1-star read for me. I'm 90% done. I'm going to try and read the last little bit before I go to bed tonight. But I don't know if I'll finish it tonight. But yeah, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know if I've just finally stumbled into a corner of sci-fi that is just over my head. Because I think there are some maybe clever not pop culture, but references to other sci-fi things going on that I have picked up on, but they're not really doing it for me. This one's all about... Okay, well, let's just start with the fact that my favourite thing, and the one good thing that is going on with this book for me, is the fact that it's set in the Middle East, and so it's the only sci-fi that I've ever read that's set in that area. So you've got which countries they travel through: Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman. They're the main countries that are referenced. There are a few others bordering countries that the characters do go to, or at least mentioned, but those are the main ones. And I think that is really cool as a sci-fi setting, and I was so excited to pick it up on that premise alone, because it's set in the real world and real places are mentioned, and there's lots of real life references, like Tamagotchis and Pikachus are digital pets that you can get. But yeah, there's a difference, and I think the whole thing's supposed to be sort of a commentary on culture differences and the way people deal with, I don't know, maybe it's a reflection of religious differences, particularly in that part of the world. So there's obviously a splice between, or a divide, I should say, between the robots and the humans, and or the bionics, I guess. But I can't figure out where the plot is. I don't know what the point of this book is. There's no plot. I don't know if it just jumped off the train when the book was on its way to the printer and left it behind. But I don't know what's going on, and I'm basically done with the story, and I'm just not enjoying the reading experience. I really wanted to DNF at 50%, but this is a NetGalley book, And if you don't know, on NetGalley, you have like a rating ratio of, you have to try and get to 80% of the books that you've received as to how many you've actually read and reviewed. And so I didn't want to do an effort because that would negatively impact that ratio. So that is like the one reason I have persevered with this book, is to try and help out my NetGalley percentage. So anyway, that's sort of a lengthy update for you guys. As I said, brilliant weekend. Disappointing reading has been going on, but I will be working through the books I'm in the middle of over the next few weeks, which I know are good. They're all great reads, and I'm really looking forward to finishing them and starting something new. So I will keep you in the loop as to what I finish next and what I pick up next. Yeah, so I finished Neon. It's the next day, and honestly, I don't actually know if that's how you're supposed to say it, but that book, not good. No, 1 star. Probably my least favourite read for the year. It's not out until November, I don't think, so you'll have to wait a little bit if you want to get your hands on a copy of it yourself to see if you agree or disagree with me. But yeah, I couldn't find the plot in that one. I thought it would get better. I actually didn't have much to go after where I checked in with you yesterday. I thought I had more to go, but not really, because it was actually a massive glossary at the back of the book, which was making up most of the ebook. So no, yeah, it was really boring. There's actually a review up on Goodreads that describes it as poetry, and it's quite positive, and he sort of recaps basically what happens by briefly describing the blurb. And I was like, you know what, I would have been more satisfied just reading that review and then moving on with my life. But there we go. So that's 2 ebooks done at least. For now, I'm moving back to reading Victory's Greater Than Death. I still have some ebooks to read. I think I'm going to take a break from NetGalley books just because that was a horrific run of books I didn't enjoy. So I'm going to go back to finishing the other books I'm in the middle of because I seem to be having a better time with them. So we will see when I next finish a book. Victory's Greater Than Death is really good so far though. I'm really enjoying it. It's like a beautiful queer YA version of Hitchhikers. I'm still standing by that at the halfway point, but you never know, half a book, so let's see if it keeps it up or if it doesn't. It's the 10th of June today, and I haven't finished anything yet. I am this far through Victory's Greater Than Death, still really enjoying it, and hoping that on this weekend I'm actually wanting to sit down and do a sort of like a readathon, sort of like a 24-hour readathon, but not an actual 24-hour readathon because I'm way too tired for that. But I'm hoping to finish off a few books. So I'm wanting to finish off Victory's Greater Than Death. I also would like to finish off A River Enchanted. Maybe you should talk to someone, but yeah, so I think I'm just going to have a really quiet weekend to myself. It's Friday today, so after work I am just going to have a very chill weekend with no real agenda, in the hopes that I can finish off some books so that I can start some of the new ones that I've got and all the things off my TBR. So hopefully that actually happens. So it's the next day, it's the 11th of June, and it's now the weekend, so I'm looking forward to reading this weekend. As I speak, it is coming up to 1 PM. I will be heading off to the cinema momentarily to see the new Top Gun movie, which I'm really excited about. In terms of how far through Victory's Greater Than Death, I have read a bit more, so I've got about 100 pages to go of this now, so I'm hoping to finish this one off today. I'd love to do even more reading than that, but I have done some reading this morning. I had some impromptu babysitting for my nephew, and now we're going to the cinema, so it's so far panning out to be a really lovely day, and it would be even greater to finish the day off with a nice reading session and to clock out with a book. On the same day in the evening, and I have 50 pages left of the book. I have my wine. I am having chill vibes right now. It's great. I'm hoping to finish it tonight. My brain is also like, I'm hoping to finish another 3 books too, but we should be realistic. I saw Top Gun today, and that was amazing. So good, just as good as the original, if not better. In any case, I am trying to finish reading the book without getting too distracted, but I don't even know how I managed to get as distracted as I do, but it seems so easy. But yes, crossing fingers that I do actually finish this book tonight, because I would like to finish another one as well. Like, start progress towards finishing another one. managed to finish Victory's Greater Than Death last night, which is very exciting. I rated it 4 stars, and I'm so glad to have finally finished a book. It's a great feeling. This was fantastic, though. Like, if you're looking for some sci-fi with some of the best queer rep that you've ever read, then this is the book. I loved this. If you don't know, Charlie Jane Anders is a trans woman, and there are a whole array of different characters and repping different things in this book. It really feels like a statement piece, being like, this is what it would be like if you just stretched your imagination and had like a healthy, hefty dose of all sorts of different representation within a book. And that's always really exciting to read within like a sci-fi fantasy setting, because it's never usually that heavy-handed, but like in a good way. Not heavy-handed is the wrong term there, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm really excited to continue the series. I know that the sequel came out this year, a couple months ago, maybe last month, I'm not sure. So I'm looking forward to continuing that at some point. And also just reading the author's other books. All the Birds in the Sky is by them, and I didn't realise that. And now I'm really quite excited for it, because All the Birds in the Sky, I don't know if you can see the little blue cover there, but I recognise that cover, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together, so we'll be looking out for that one in the bookstores. I have then started reading a completely new book. I've started reading 90 Packets of Instant Noodles by Deb Fitzpatrick. This is actually a book for work that I'm reading, and I've read about a third of it today. I actually read all of that within about half an hour. This has been a wicked read, and I am looking forward to reading a little bit more before I go to bed tonight. It's sort of about a troubled teen who gets caught up in quite a serious crime, but instead of going to juvie, which is juvenile prison, do people in other countries call it juvie, or is that an Australian thing? They manage to... His dad basically strikes a deal where he goes out into this cabin and basically is on whatever that is called. Good behaviour? I don't know. For like 3 months he has to report in, but he's living in this cabin with like no electricity, no nothing, no dishwasher, no washing machine. He's got a dunny, doesn't have a real toilet, does have some running water, and he sort of really has to fend for himself. And it's really interesting watching the growth of the character as he's faced with that challenge, and essentially the plot, I guess, is to see if he can keep on track for it. So that's, I'm actually really enjoying this, but obviously I'm a bit biased there. But anyway, that's what I'm currently reading, because I want to get this one read shortly. Otherwise, I've still got quite a few other books on the go. I had wanted to read more, like finish more this weekend, but I'm always a bit overambitious in terms of what I actually have time to do. And I did see Top Gun, Maverick, and Jurassic World this weekend, which was fantastic. I loved both of them. Which obviously took up a bit of time. So yeah, I've just been having a chill weekend. Obviously it's Sunday now, and it's back to the work week tomorrow. I don't think it's going to take me long to finish 90 packets, and after that I will continue trying to finish more books. I'll either dive back into A River Enchanted, or maybe You Should Talk to Someone. I'm undecided, but I'm getting really excited to read other books. Once I finish off some books, there's actually quite a few review copies that have been stacking up. In particularly The Brightest Star is like the next one I really, really want to read. But anyway, I'm looking forward to getting to all the books, but for now, one book at a time. 14th of June today. Just wanted to do a quick update before starting my work day. I'm at page 200 out of like 300 for 90 Packets of Instant Noodles. I'm hoping to finish it within the next few days so that I can get on to the next book. I think the next book will be finishing off something, though I'm so keen to start reading something new, but I need to finish something. It's Thursday the 16th of June. It's about 7 a.m. in the morning, and I've read maybe another 30 pages, so I'm now at page 330 out of, I think, 440 or 430 in Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. It's like slow going on this book. I've been trying to really persevere with it and get to the end. It's really good. It just seems to take a while to read, because it is like there's so much text on a page. So I will sit down and read it. I'll enjoy it. I feel like I've been reading for ages, and then I've only read like 5 pages. So it is slow progress, but really good. And I feel like this last, I don't know, quarter of the book has been better, or there's been more takeaways than the first part had been. My main, I don't know if you could say critique, but my main thing about the book was that it was a really enjoyable sort of memoir, but I didn't feel that it was offering an excessive amount as a self-help book, but I feel like that's really shifting, and we're coming around to all the points now, so that's been really good. Same day, it's just later in the day. I wanted to update you with where I'm at, because I'm now here, so I think I'm very close to page 340, so about 100 pages to go. Still doesn't look like it, but I'm pretty sure that's about 100 pages. I am really tired though. Obviously I've film tonight, hence the makeup. So I don't think I'm going to do any more reading today, but I will see if I can finish this tomorrow. Maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see how much time I have, probably at some point on the weekend though, as I am keen to do some other reading this weekend. It's Thursday night, and so I have a few things on this weekend, but I think it could be nice to have a bit of a reading session and get some other review copies done. I'll have finished 2 or 3 books I think that I've been in the middle of by that point, once I tick this one off, so I feel like that's good progress, and then I can cycle back to it once I've got some review copies ticked off, but we will see. I haven't read any more of my book, but I just wanted to jump in and update you that I'm going to bake a cake. I'm sure that was the update that you wanted, but I'm planning to... No, wait, I do have an update. I lie. I finished listening to The Diamond Eye today, which was Kate Quinn's latest book. Amazing. Top 10 all-time books. She says, not remembering any of the other 9, but it was definitely one of my favourite books I've read for a long time. It was just, you can't go wrong with Kate Quinn. She writes historical fiction. The Diamond Eye is about a Russian sniper, a female Russian sniper during World War II. It is the most profound, brilliant and well-worded feminist piece of fiction that I have ever read. The nuances on the microaggressions and just the blatant misogyny going on was just so kind of horrifyingly relatable, but also just like amazing, and if you're a female, I feel like you'll really appreciate it. So that was a 5 out of 5 stars for me, and I really loved it, and I'm hoping tonight to read a little bit more of Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, but for now, I shall bake cake. It is 7 AM and it is still so dark outside, so we're using a little bit of light off the phone. It's just the tail end of June gets so depressing with how dark it gets in the middle of winter. Anyway, I wanted to check in to say it's Monday. I have no idea what the date is. It's the 20th of June and I have finished reading Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. I thought I would finish this a bit sooner in the weekend, but I had a really lovely weekend where I was just doing a little bit more than I had anticipated, so it took me until last night. I stayed up a little bit too late reading this and finishing it off, so I think I'm going to be tired today. But this was brilliant. 5-star read from me. I was still shocked at, like, it looks big-ish, but it doesn't look huge. But there is so much text, like, per page, and it's quite dense material that whilst it's an excellent read, this took so much longer to read than anticipated. I found it really great, and I think for the first like 2/3, half of the book, I was saying that as much as I was enjoying it, it was reading like a memoir and I wasn't finding it like heavily in the self-help category. But as you progress like towards the last half of the book, last third, it got like there was much more advice given. It's very much so that you're following Laurie's story as she's talking about her experience in therapy and her experience as a therapist. And she has about 3 or 4 different sort of case studies that are fictionalized patients that are sort of an amalgamation of all the different experiences she's had giving therapy to people. And you're following those stories like beginning to end in their therapy journeys, and you take something from each of them. They're really beautiful. It's quite sad. It's quite emotional as you're following through the highs and lows of certain characters, but it's really, really beautiful. If you are into self-help or how therapy works, I think that was probably the most interesting thing, particularly if you haven't read much on this topic before. There was so much about the kind of methods she uses, the way she behaves and like responds to patients as a therapist, and like where the privacy lines are drawn and how she can interact with them and what she isn't allowed to do. So I found that really interesting from that side of things, and I would 100% recommend this book, but be warned that it's a slow read. It's one to just pick away at slowly. or maybe that was just my experience and maybe you'll fly through it. But this was, yeah, 5 stars from me, loved it, and I'm so proud that I finally finished it, because this is one of the books that's been on my TBR for a long time. As you may know if you've been following along for a bit, I think I started this a few months ago, so I finally have sat down and committed and have finished it. I've also started my next audiobook, which is Robin Hood. I actually didn't even know this was an audiobook before I downloaded it. Not just an audiobook, like a book full stop. I thought it might be based off a children's fable, and that's really good as well. It's written in older English. It's written in the late 1800s, so it's somewhat difficult to follow along with. If I zone out, I have been saying that when I zone out whilst I'm driving, because I'm like zone out from the audiobook, not zoning out from driving. When I'm concentrating on driving, it kind of sounds like Simlish in the background, because I can't just keep following up with all of it. But nonetheless, I'm really enjoying it. There's a lot of cheek to it and it's really fun, so I'm hoping to get through that either this week or next. And in terms of what I'm going to pick up today, I will be taking A River Enchanted to work with me today to read on my lunch break. Though I'm really tempted to pick up The Order of the Phoenix, but I think I'm going to just stick with A River Enchanted for today. This should be a fun one. It's the same day, but I am back home working from home today because my dad has just got COVID and I live with him. So we're going to play a waiting game this week. We're going to see if I can dodge it in the house or not, but I will be working from home for at least the next few days as a point of interest for people not in Australia or even WA. I don't know if our rules are different over East now. The rules are that I am allowed as a close contact to leave the house, providing I can provide evidence of a negative test each day. So, but out of respect for my colleagues and everyone, I'm planning to work from home because I think we're probably looking at the inevitable at this point. So, well, it's now Tuesday, so it's the 21st of June, and I am still not struck down with COVID yet, but both of my parents are now sick. So surely it's only a matter of time. But anyway, I'll keep you posted on that front. For now, I'm just working from home, which gives me a little bit more time back in my day to read, but also not, I don't like block out those same 2 hours in the morning, like an hour in the morning, hour in the evening, so I don't actually get as much reading done. But in any case, I'm now up to page 320 in A River Enchanted, so we're slowly getting there. I'm going to read more tonight. I've got just over 100 pages to go. We will see. I've been pretty tired. I'm not feeling brilliant. I am expecting to come down with COVID any day now, but who knows, maybe it's all in my head. But yeah, that's the plan, is to just read as much of this tonight as I can before I just fall asleep. It's the next day, it's the 22nd of June, and I am still amazingly not sick, so I'm still avoiding COVID within my own household. I don't know how I'm managing that, but in any case, I'm now up to page 400, maybe 405, who knows, of A River Enchanted, so there's like, I think 480 pages, so I'm slowly making my way through this. I always feel like every book I'm reading at the moment, I'm just like, gosh, this is such a long book, and this feels like it's taking me forever to read. But I think any book at this stage that's taking me more than one sitting to read, I'm just like, wow, you have the audacity to be a very long book. But you know, that's just how reading works. Plan is to go to work tomorrow, providing I do not wake up sick, and I will be listening to Robin Hood on the car drive into work, which I'm actually really looking forward to because I haven't really been listening to it for the last few days, and I'm really enjoying it, and I am about halfway through it, so it's been like a surprise. Like, I had hoped it would be good, but I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I've been enjoying it. I actually think it's climbing the charts as one of my favourite classics I've read. Sense and Sensibility is firmly holding the top spot, and I don't know if anything will like actually nut that out, but At the moment, I'm thinking Robin Hood might come in second. I got sent a finished copy of The Brightest Star today, which you will see in a haul, and I am thinking I might read it next. I'm thinking of taking a break from my crusade of finishing all the half-finished books on my bedside table to read a couple of review copies. But there's 1 week left of June, and I'm really just trying to read whatever I feel like reading in the moment, so first things first is to try and actually get to the end of A River Enchanted. It is really good and really whimsical, and I am really excited about the sequel already because I know that this is totally going to end on a cliffhanger. I'm like really excited about all the books I've got to read, but also I wish I could pause time and read more. I finished A River Enchanted. I'm really happy with myself. Feels like for the first time out of all these books that I've been making an effort to finish, that this has felt like I've got my currently reading pile to a really like good point where it actually feels like I've been putting in the effort to get it down. So I've got my currently reading down from 8 books on the go to 4, and that feels so much better. I am going to keep trying to get it down. I'm going to read a bit of Harry Potter tonight. There are those review copies I mentioned in my previous check-in that I want to read, but I don't feel like starting a new book now. It's nearly 10 p.m. anyway, so not the time to start a new book, arguably. And I think I'll just give myself, I don't know, maybe next week I'll dive into some of those review copies. Unsure, uncertain. I'm still healthy as well, so no COVID as of yet. We're crossing fingers that I'm just going to miraculously dodge it at this point. A River Enchanted was really good. 5-star read, and that is largely based off the atmosphere, I feel. The storyline itself is not hugely fast, and I read it over such an extended period of time that I feel like it made it feel like a longer story than it possibly is. It is a big book, it's nearly 500 pages, but it's really lovely. The magic system, the whimsy of it, it's delightful to read. It's a very cozy fantasy to read. It's well worth all the hype and praise that it's been getting. It's all about an enchanted island, and there's an east and west side, and they don't get along, and the east has things that the west doesn't, and vice versa. And it's just like, it's a quiet book to read. If you're looking for like a nice winter fantasy book to read, I would definitely put this high up on the list. So that was great, and the sequel's coming out at the end of the year, so I'm looking forward to that. So the 26th of June today, it's Sunday night. I'm still healthy. This is going to be the update for like the next week. And I've had quite a packed weekend this week. So yesterday I was at Supernova and I got to meet Maria V. Snyder, Jay Kristoff and Richard Swan, and that was just a phenomenal day of meeting authors. I loved it. I had a great day. So Maria V. Snyder was amazing, and I got almost all my books signed by her. I did tragically realise that I forgot to take the Healer series with me, but I'm sure I'll live. Jay Kristoff was also lovely, and I got my copy of Lifelike signed. I already have a signed copy of Empire of the Vampire, and I'd completely forgotten that Richard Swan would be there. He is the author of The Justice of Kings, which my copy is very handily just here, so it's this book, and so I actually have a really lovely signature that looks like this. It was really great hearing about this book. This has been like a book I've nearly bought so many times. It came out this year, so it's like a newish release, and it's just something that looks fabulous and up my alley so much so, and I'm glad that obviously the stars aligned, and I held off buying it until I could get it signed at Supernova. Today has been a weirdly busy day with life admin, and also with a work event, which was really fun to do. It was a storytellers festival where people were pitching ideas to a panel of publishers and writers in which I was on, and we were giving feedback. So it hasn't been a lot of time for reading, and I haven't felt like listening to my audiobook in the car. So I think I've got about 2 hours, 1 hour left of Robin Hood, which I plan to finish on my car drives to work and back on this week. Current project is still The Order of the Phoenix. I'm now this far through, so I think I've probably read, I don't know, 50 pages since we last checked in. I am going to try and read a little bit more tonight. Pretty tired though, so I might just go to sleep. This week's project is to try and finish The Order of the Phoenix, and hopefully that will set me up nicely for July. The fates were smiling upon me. I would be able to finish A Court of Silver Flames as well, but I think that's unlikely. Not much new to share with you. It's the 26th, it's the next day, but I did want to share that I'm now pretty much halfway through The Order of the Phoenix. I have been determinedly reading this because it's such a big book, so it doesn't feel like you're making progress, but you are. So I'm at page like 350 out of I think it's 760, so is that halfway? It's like, it's pretty much halfway, a few pages shy of it. I love this book so much, it's so entertaining. I also got my novelist box for this quarter, which is a subscription box. If you don't know, you can check them out on Instagram. They're an Australian subscription box, and I loved the choices for this pick. I will be talking about it more in my next book haul, but I really want to start reading one of the books that came in this, edition? Release, whatever it's called, but I'm being good and I'm sticking with The Order of the Phoenix. I wonder if I can make it to page 400 tonight. Thought you'd probably want an update. Today's the 30th of June. Oh my god, it's the last day of June, and here I am like, maybe I can still finish the book. No, that will be a no. So I guess I should do like a wrap up. Like, it's literally 9:30 at night on the 30th, and I'm not planning on reading tonight. I'm planning on blogging, and I think that's okay. I have actually read so many books this month, and I've enjoyed the fruits of my labour because I have finished so many books that I started in previous months. So whilst I've not read the complete book, I finally reaped the reward of all the effort I put in and was not rewarded for earlier in the year. I think that makes sense. So let's do a little recap. Let's go backwards. So starting off with The Order of the Phoenix, I plan to finish this on holiday. You'll see in my next vlog everything I'm planning to read because I am going on holiday the first week of July even, and I am at I think I'm close to page 500. Indeed, I'm at page 490 out of 766, so I actually think there's less to go than it looks like, because that's sort of 270 pages. This will probably be the first book I finished next month. The first book I finished in June was The Limitless Sky, which I rated 2 stars. I read this via ebook, and I was reviewing it for NetGalley. I had really anticipated better things than what I guess I felt in the end with this one. It just felt short for me. Like, the writing wasn't bad, the plot just didn't come together. It was just a bit... It went under the radar for me. That's the wrong metaphor, but you know what I mean. It didn't work for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I'd be keen to maybe try some of the author's future writing, but The Limitless Sky didn't hold a candle to some of the other dystopians I've read. Next I read Neon by Lavie Tidhar, and this again was not great, and this time it was very much so the writing style that didn't gel with me. This was a 1-star read. This is a sci-fi. It's coming out way later in the year. I think I originally said September, but I think it's November that it's coming out. It's ironically the most on top of reviewing I've ever been, and it was one of my least favorite books I've ever read. However, I don't say that to actually discourage you, because I think this would be very much so someone's thing if you're into literary sci-fi. That's not my jam. Not my jam. I then finished Gideon the Ninth by Tasmin Muir, which is in my top 10 of all-time favorite books now. Absolutely loved it. That was a reward to finish after those 2 books. 5 stars. Literally probably my favorite book I've ever read. It was just phenomenal. No, that does not mean it was better than Tiger's Curse. I still will forever reserve that as just my favorite book. But Gideon the Ninth was just incredible. It's a paranormal fantasy necromancer's The narration is everything. The voice in this book is everything. It's so sassy, it's so funny, and the audiobook is 110% worth it. So if you do audiobooks, please do this one via audio. The next book I finished was Victory is Greater Than Death by Charlie Jane Anders. This one I was super excited for because it was like the book that I had voted in on Instagram to read on my birthday, and I had not quite finished it my birthday, that being at the end of May. So this is a queer sci-fi. It's quite a hardcore sci-fi. It's very Hitchhikers, like chaos vibes, like everyone is queer or like non-binary in some way or other, whether they're human or otherwise, and I thought that was really fun. It was actually really nice to read a book where it was just like rah on the diversity, like, you know, everyone has something going for them, and I love that, and I actually really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars, I think. I'm anticipating that it will, like, the series will get more exciting. It's actually not a super highly rated book. It's got like 3.5 star average rating on Goodreads. Hitchhikers is not everyone's cup of tea, and I would very firmly like compare it to that. Like, if you like Hitchhikers, you'll enjoy this book. If you find Hitchhikers mad, this is probably not your book. The next book I finished was 90 Packets of Instant Noodles by Deb Fitzpatrick, which was a book I read for work. I've already sort of not subtly, said that I enjoyed this one, but I'm not rating or reviewing workbooks. However, that was the next one I read. It's a YA contemporary. I can't tell you what it's about. It's a YA contemporary set in Australia, set in Western Australia, and it's about a boy who sort of gets caught up in a petty theft that gets turned into a much bigger crime. And instead of going to jail, they strike up a deal where he basically goes out for 3 months to live in this cabin in the woods, so that he's sort of, I guess, in a detention way, learning how to fend for himself and like to entertain himself without any technology or like electricity at some points. Is actually really entertaining, and it's really lovely. It's a great sort of self growth book. The next book I finished was another audiobook, and that was The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. I love Kate Quinn. We know I love Kate Quinn. This one is historical fiction. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. Did I enjoy it more than Rose Code? I think I did. Maybe. They're pretty even Stevens. Both of them are brilliant. This is much shorter than the Rose Code though, so it's much more manageable. The Rose Code is like yay big, and this is like yay big. It's about World War II and a female Russian sniper, and it's so intense and interesting and emotional. The next book was one of the books I finished that has been on my bedside table for a long time, and that is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Laurie Gottlieb, and this is non-fiction, and it's about psychology. It's basically the psychologist talking about her experience in psychology with like her therapist, and sort of lessons learned from her years as being a therapist and the kinds of people that she meets inside her practice. And it's really interesting for sort of learning more about how our minds work and how therapy works, and I actually enjoyed it in different ways to what I had anticipated. It was less self-help for the first part of the book, and overall less self-help. Was very much so the kind of thing where you take away bits from it from other people's lived experiences, like a memoir. It worked more like a memoir for me than a self-help book. The next book was another book that I conquered off my currently reading list, and that was A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This was really good and very whimsical. This is a YA fantasy, and it's well worth the read. This one's set on sort of an enchanted island where it's divided into 2 halves who are at loggerheads with each other, not quite at war. And the main character has spent time on the mainland rather than on the island, and he comes back under particular circumstances because all the young girls from his side of the island are disappearing. And so it's sort of like a mystery of trying to work out where they're going, who's taking them, why they're going, and sort of what his role is going to be in recovering them. There's a romance in it, but it's less about the romance and more about sort of young adults coming to terms with responsibilities. And I actually really liked it from that perspective. It was quite, like, it's almost new adult, I would say, in the way I related to the characters. So that was a 5-star read for me. And finally, I finished off the month with Robin Hood, which again, 5-star read for me. This was a classic I hadn't really ever had on my radar and didn't know much about. I got this free from the Audible library, and it was narrated by an American narrator who low-key butchered some of the British terms and town names. But once I could just make peace with that and let that go, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very entertaining and jovial story, and I would definitely recommend reading Robin Hood if you haven't. It's probably one of my favourite classics I've read in terms of approachableness from the storyline. It's not approachable in the language it uses. It's old-timey English. It's not old English, but it's old-timey English, so it's ye oldest, blah blah blah. It's some, you got to get into the swing of it, but overall was very good, if a little bit sad. So those were all the books that I read. In total, it was 9 books that I finished in June, which is crazy. I haven't finished that many books for ages, But despite having a rocky start to the month, I actually had a really good month of reading and I've really enjoyed what I read. So I am very much so looking forward to what July brings. And here's to hoping that maybe July will be a quieter month. It seems I'm doomed to not have quiet months for some time to come, but we can hope. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these or if you're planning to, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alle gloria militar